Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today guys, we're going to be taking a look at the new Titan X with the Pascal architecture. Now for the entire video, I'm just going to call it the Titan X, and if I'm referring to the old Titan X, I'm just going to call it the old Titan X. So yeah guys, I hate their naming scheme when it comes to the Titan lineup. I mean, Titan X, you couldn't have named it anything else besides the last Titan. You couldn't have called it the Titan A, the Titan B, the Titan Z. Titan Z I just think sounds cooler in my opinion, but you know, whatever. So yeah guys, you couldn't have named it something different. That's just my one big complaint, because it's really annoying when you're looking up the Titan X stuff and you come up with the old Titan X stuff. So yeah guys, come on, just change the name, change it one letter. That's all you have to do. It's not that big of a deal, and it doesn't destroy your whole marketing scheme. But yeah guys, so the price of this GPU is $1,200 American dollars, which is, well, expensive considering the fact that you can build two pretty capable machines for that price. So keep that in mind. You can build two whole 1080p machines for that price. But after all, this video card is for enthusiasts playing at 4K or even 8K or 12K. And when I'm referring to 8K and 12K, I'm referring to having like 2 or 3 monitors, obviously. So it's going to be released on August 2nd, and we are not sure whether or not the board members are going to have an early opportunity to start developing with this card. Sadly, for the old Titan X, they did not, so we didn't see Titan X cards for quite a while, but hopefully that's not going to be the case for the new Pascal Titan X. So yeah guys, NVIDIA's really been pumping out video cards lately, and I'm really hoping that AMD is going to be coming out with something to compete, because they haven't even announced any high-end cards yet. All they have is a 480 on the market right now, and all the video cards out right now are all not available, which really sucks. So don't buy any of the cards out there. You basically had to get them on release date if you wanted them during the summer, which is kind of sad and it kind of sucks. But hopefully this card's going to be in more quantity. Probably not. It's probably actually going to be in less quantity, because, you know, it's a $1,200 video card. Think about that. Not a lot of people are going to be spending $1,200 on a video card. But yeah, for all you enthusiasts, hopefully you guys all get them. But yeah, I'm definitely not going to be able to pick one up. I just don't have that kind of money to spend on a video card, especially when I already have my GTX 1070. So yeah guys. So without further ado, let's jump right into the specs, because guess what guys? That's basically all we have. It really kind of sucks. I was trying to hold out for some benchmarks, some gameplay, anything honestly, some leak stuff. I don't really care. Just anything that could give me a general idea of the performance of the card. But sadly, nothing came out, and I decided, hey guys, I might as well just go make this video, and then we can go ahead and look over the performance later on when it comes out. So yeah guys, let's go and take a look at the specifications. We're really going to be comparing it to the GTX Titan, GTX 1080, simply because it is the best video card on the market in terms of power compared to the new Titan X. Just, you'll see. Anyway guys, so when it comes to CUDA cores, the new Titan X comes in at 3,584 CUDA cores. The GTX 1080 comes in at 2,560 CUDA cores, which is, well, they're both a shit ton honestly, especially when you take into effect how effective both their CUDA cores are, especially compared to the GTX Titan X, the old one, which had 3,074 CUDA cores, but that was using the Maxwell architecture, which means that, guess what guys, the CUDA cores weren't as effective as the new CUDA cores. So that's why the GTX 1080 outperforms the old Titan X in some situations. It's like kind of rough about when it outperforms, but sometimes it outperforms, sometimes it doesn't. It's just by a little bit that it outperforms it too. So yeah guys, the texture units for the new Titan X are 224. The GTX 1080 has a texture unit amount of 160, and obviously the Titan X texture units that's a rough estimate of how many they're going to be. It's got a ROPS of 96, which, you know, that's rough. We're not sure. The GTX 1080's got a ROPS of 64, so yeah, that's a big increase roughly. And then again, you gotta remember that those are rough estimates. We're not sure 100% if that is the correct amount, so keep that with a grain of salt, right? So the core clock is 1,400 17 megahertz. The boost clock is 1531 megahertz. It's got 11 teraflops of power, and the GTX 1080 has a core clock of 1607 megahertz, and it's got a boost clock of 1733 megahertz. It's got 9 teraflops of power, and it's got a memory clock of 10 gigabytes per second, and it's using GDDR5X memory. The same with the Titan X. They both have the same memory clock and memory amount. Not the memory amount, and the type of memory, sorry. Anyway, the memory bus width for the Titan X is 384 bits, and for the GTX 1080, 256 bits. There's a VRAM amount of 12 gigabytes on the Titan X, and it's got 8 gigabytes on the 1080. The FP64 is 1 out of 32, which we're thinking it is going to be, considering the fact that both the GTX 1080 and the GTX Titan X, the old one, both have the same specs. So when it comes to TDP, it's going to be having a TDP of 250 watts, which is the same as the old Titan X, which is fantastic. That's kind of what we were expecting. And the GTX 1080 has a TDP of 180 watts. Now what that means is that it's going to be drawing a shit ton of power from the wall, because remember, that's the power that's dissipating off of the card, so keep that in mind. I always mess that up. I always think, oh wait, it says 250 watts. Oh, that must be what it's drawing. No, it's not drawing that amount. It's drawing something a lot more than that. So yeah, guys, the transistor account is 12 billion, and for the GTX 1080, it's got 7.2 billion. Now, obviously, that is using their new fancy 16 nanometer FinFET design. So, yeah, obviously, there is going to be less transistors than the old Titan X on the GTX 1080. But again, it's going to be outperformed because of the small amount of transistors. That also means it's going to be using less power, and it's going to be more effective when it comes to all their features and all. So yeah, guys, now again, launch date is on August 2nd, and price is going to be 1,200 American dollars. Now, again, guys, there's not an MSRP, and there's no Founders Edition price, so that leads me to refer that the Founders Edition is going to be $1,200, and that kind of makes me think that there is no MSRP, simply because of the fact that they haven't told the other board members about, like, they just haven't let them start developing their cards yet. It's kind of similar to the old Titan X, so that's kind of a disappointment for me personally, but yeah. So when it comes to performance, I went ahead and did the math comparing the CUDA cores to the GTX 1080, and when it comes to increased amount, we're gonna get roughly 40%. That is obviously a exact specification. That is a rough estimate, and it's gonna differ from different games and all, but it's gonna be roughly 40% faster than the GTX 1080, which the question is, does that really give you the kind of performance you want out of a card this expensive? I mean, after all, the Titan X is going to cost $1,200 American dollars, and the GTX 1080 costs roughly $600. So when you compare them by price, say I'm just gonna estimate it up to 50% in increased power. So if you got that in terms of GTX 1080 performance, that'd be a $900 video card. So just keep that in mind when you're spending that. That's $300 more than what you'd spend on the GTX 1080. So the real question is, will the Titan X outperform two 1080s in SLI? Now, that is, again, that's a hard thing to say at this point, but seeing that it's going to be a 40% increase in power roughly, we can leave to specify that if the drop-off point for performance with you in SLI, seeing that the degradation of power and all, we might see you outperforming the Titan X with SLI 1080s. Now, yeah, guys, that's rough. We're not sure 100%, but I could see it outweighing it in some situations, seeing that it's roughly a 10, or actually roughly a 0 to 50% increase in power when it comes to using SLI. So when you keep that in mind, then yes, some games I think it will outperform it by a lot. But again, in some games you're going to be getting a 0 increase in power because of the just limited SLI capabilities of that game. So yeah, you're going to have some problems here and there. But both these cards are capable of 4K gaming easily. But yeah guys, so without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. I've kind of gone over everything. So yeah, in some situations I do believe that the GTX 1080 in SLI will outperform the Titan X by a tiny bit. But at the same time, you have to worry about some games just not being optimized for SLI, and when it comes to that, then you're basically screwed. Again, you could turn down resolution, settings, and all, but who really wants to do that? Especially when you're an enthusiast and you spend so much money on your video card. I mean, that video card costs about as much as my computer costs. So, yeah, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!